what is going on with these freaking fires, you guys, that are just erupting all over the United States. It started out in Ontario, California, which is, it's a tiny town. I got in an argument with somebody about this. They're like, Ontario is really big. No, it has a really small population. Yes, it's very spread out, but it's a small town. Most people haven't even heard of Ontario. It's out in the Inland Empire, in between like Upland and Rancho Cucamonga. I lived there for a year, and yeah, they had this massive warehouse fire, and this video went viral. It was this kid working there, and they sold like toilet paper. Well, I mean, it was a warehouse full of a bunch of toilet paper. And it shows this kid going around and just lighting all these different pallets on fire. And it's an insane video. My dog always lays down right where I can roll over her on accident, and I don't want to do that. Sorry. So let's watch this quick video on what's going on with all these fires, because it seems like it's become some sort of epidemic. So who is this from? All right. So this is from Bill Asaley. They're filing federal charges against this guy, federal and state charges. So let's watch this video. So he posted this himself. That's what's wild about this. So I'm sure everybody saw this.
Should have paid us enough to fucking live. You know, we may not get paid enough to fucking live, but these
Wally World, CC Pino, Northside, nice to see you guys.
bitches dirt cheap. All you had to do was pay us enough to live. All you had to do was pay us enough to fucking live. All you had to do was pay us enough to live. There goes your inventory.
So this dude posted this to his own social media. It's just wild. And here's the aftermath. The whole warehouse is gone. What is this song from? Oh, this is Gangster's Paradise. Look at that. So that's a freeze frame of this massive warehouse. This is what I'm talking about with Ontario. It's just like all these fields and everything. Like downtown Ontario is like nothing. I used to live there right by the airport near Vineyard. You got it, Northside. It is Gangster's Paradise. You remember the movie? What was the movie with Michelle Pfeiffer? Fuck. I can't remember that name now. Oh, that's going to bug me. When do you guys put it in the chat? CC Pino. Gangster. Yeah, it is. Yeah. Yeah. You guys are all like, Gangster's Paradise. All right. I got it. Great song, by the way. What was the movie, though, with Michelle? Dangerous Minds. I saw that in the movie theaters with my mom when I was a kid. It's an awesome movie. CC Pino, he's high as hell. He has a joint in his hand. Did he? I didn't even notice that. That's funny. So yeah, so that happened. That happened in Ontario. And then, so this is the guy, 29-year-old Chamel Abdulkarim. I probably butchered his name. He was arrested after filming. So yeah, it was a 1.2 million square foot paper goods warehouse in Ontario, California. All right, they did a press conference on this. This is okay, so this is the San Bernardino District Attorney Jason Anderson talking with Bill Asaley. So let's watch this quick press conference.
The paper product alone that was inside of the warehouse was worth $500 million. The building itself was worth $150 million. In addition to count one, we filed an additional 6 more counts as it related to each separate fire that was started by the suspect in this particular case.
This morning, we're announcing that we are also filing federal charges against Mr. Abdulkarim with arson, which carries a 5-year mandatory minimum federal prison sentence and is punishable by up to 20 years in prison. According to the federal complaint that we have filed, the defendant on early Tuesday morning filmed himself setting fire to multiple pallets of paper goods inside the Kimberly-Clark warehouse here in Ontario. This company's products include Kleenex and Huggies and are used nationwide, being sold and shipped throughout through interstate commerce, which provides us federal jurisdiction over this case. The defendant repeatedly boasted of his crimes. He posted Instagram videos showing himself lighting the merchandise on fire in the warehouse. He said, quote, "You know, if you're not going to pay us enough to effing live or afford to live, at least pay us enough to not do this." So not only is he now facing state charges, the state will be proceeding first. He's in state custody. He'll be arraigned on his state charges. He now has a federal charge. He has a federal arrest warrant. So when he's done with the state, he'll come to us. And we look forward to ensuring that Mr. Abdul Karim is behind bars for a very long time.
Okay, so there's a lot of mixed opinions about this guy. Some like people on the left are sort of hailing this guy as a hero, as like a martyr of sorts. I'm not saying that's what this guy's doing, but he sort of tries to not justify. Let's just listen to what this guy has to say, because he has sort of a controversial take on this, and I don't necessarily agree with him. But you know, I will say that, like, I'm a libertarian, so I don't believe in I don't even believe in a minimum wage. You know, I don't believe in a state mandated pay scale. I don't believe in any of that stuff. But especially here in California, the cost of living keeps going up and wages do not keep up. So I do agree on that standpoint that companies, especially these companies that are making insane amounts of money, where if you gave everybody like a $20,000 raise per year, you know, people making $50,000, making $70,000, all of a sudden, that's what this guy brings up. It's going to impact their profits like they wouldn't even notice, you know. And I'm not justifying what this guy did at all. You don't light the whole freaking warehouse on fire, but there is like this a problem happening with the cost of living and wages just not keeping up with it at all. Yeah, people are comparing him to Luigi Mangione, who just wrote an open letter to Patrick Bet-David, by the way. That was an interesting video that Pat put out.
You know, if you're not going to pay us enough to live or afford to live, at least pay us enough not to do this. All you had to do was pay us enough to live. All you had to do was pay us enough to. There goes your inventory.
This is a video uploaded by Chamel Abdulkarim, a 29-year-old resident of Ontario, California, burning down the Kimberly-Clark inventory, which cost $500 million in damage and lost inventory, and at least a couple $100 million more to rebuild it back up. And I find this story extraordinarily fascinating for a number of reasons. One, the point he's making, all you had to do was pay us enough to live. So I looked up what Kimberly-Clark pays its warehouse workers. It's about $23, $24 an hour, about $46,000, $47,000 a year. And then I compared that to what it costs to live in Ontario, California. And for one person, it costs about $67,000 a year to live, just to basically get by.
And that even sounds low, you know, to be able to afford your own place, like a tiny little studio. And, you know, I get it that some jobs are entry-level jobs. You know, kids are still living at home. In your early 20s, you can have roommates, that kind of thing. But, you know, people that didn't get any sort of degree, that get warehouse jobs, being able to work your way up. I mean, in California, this is going to sound crazy, but I think if you're a warehouse worker that, you know, can operate the forklift well, you've been doing it a long time, you're really well seasoned at all the different machinery in the warehouse, you're efficient at getting things in and out, I don't see why there's any reason why you can't make $85,000, $90,000, $100,000 as a warehouse worker. I call me crazy, but like that's where the economy is at right now. And for example, where I live, if you're making less than $108,000 a year, you're technically in poverty. So like, I know $100,000 a year sounds like a lot, but in California, it's not at all. I mean, you're kind of barely getting by. That's right around what I make. And yeah, I don't have a lot of spare cash.
So Kimberly-Clark is paying its employees $20,000 less per year and expects them to get by on that salary. And then I thought, well, hold on. Are they making enough money? I looked up their financial statements, and on $20 billion revenue, they're making about $2.55 billion in profit, in net profit every single year. So I divided that by the number of employees that Kimberly-Clark has, which is about 38,000. And I thought, okay, if they were to pay their employees an extra $20,000 a year, get them to a place where they could afford to work where they live, get them to $67,000 a year, what would that cost? Well, it would cost them about $750 million. They would still have nearly $2 billion in profits.
And $67,000 a year. So what is that? Like $36.50 an hour? That's not a lot. That's not a lot at all. I mean, I know people that at Trader Joe's that make $100,000 a year, you know, and then I'm not throwing shade about somebody that works at Trader Joe's. Like it's hard work. And again, there's no shame in having just a regular career like that. Everybody, like, there used to be a time in America, in California, where you could be a plumber, you could be a tradesman, you could work your way up at a grocery store, and you could be the single sole wage earner in your family and have a wife, 2 kids, a house, and a 2-car garage. Like, we are so far removed from that. And I'm not justifying what this guy did. I'm not trying to, you know, push any sort of communism nonsense or anything, but how far we've gotten away from just being able to live a comfortable life with having a regular career is like my generation, the older millennials, young Gen Xers. It's so many of us will never own a home. I've sort of resigned myself to the fact that I'm never going to own a home. And like my dad was making, you know, inflation adjusted, probably 20% less than I make right now. Well, my mom was working too, but she was like a housekeeper. She didn't make a ton of money at all. It was just like barely additional to what my dad was making. We had a 1,500 square foot house, 4 bedrooms, big backyard, 2-car garage, me and my sister. Like, we're so far away from that now. So again, I'm not justifying what this guy did. I'm not pushing any commie gobbledygook, but we do have a wage disparity problem in America, specifically in California.
Every single year, and have every employee get enough money to live where they work. Right now in the United States, 60% of Americans are not being paid enough just to get by. And there's this mythology that, well, just work harder, Americans are lazy. And this is trash. This is nonsense. They want us to think that billionaires need more tax cuts, otherwise they're not going to work. And for young people or low-income people or poor people, giving them more money is going to make them lazy. It is absolute nonsense. The trickle-down scam is nonsense. Billion-dollar corporations are paying the lowest tax rate of any modern era. Billionaires are paying a lower tax rate than any demographic in America. I'm not endorsing what Chamel Abdulkarim did. I am saying that what his anger and frustration is grounded in reality. Corporations are making billions in profits and not paying their own workers the basic standard they need to live. That is a fact, and denying that will continue to cost corporations even more money as people lash out to the injustices, the economic violence being imposed upon them.
So this guy sounds like a leftist, and I probably disagree with him on a whole bunch of things, but he's making some very valid points here, extremely valid points. And that's why I feel like we need to get past all this partisan bullshit and have an actual conversation, because the points he's making are valid, and there is a wage disparity problem in America. Now, I don't think a billionaire tax is the way to do it, not because I don't want billionaires to pay their fair share, but because the government, California government specifically, has proven that they are not fiscally responsible. And there's tons of fraud, tons of waste, tons of abuse in the way they spend money. So what is the solution, though? I don't think it's a billionaire tax. So not only does the California government not deserve more tax dollars, the billionaire tax isn't going to be just for the billionaires. It's going to trickle down to so trickle down taxes does work. It always ends up hitting the middle class. It's like in California specifically, you either got to be super rich or super poor. The middle class is the one getting hosed. We're the ones getting squeezed for every last penny, and we're the ones that can't get by. We're never going to own a home. I mean, I think a lot of the reason that men or that people aren't having kids anymore is for economic reasons. A lot of people aren't having kids because it's like, yeah, I'm just not, like me, myself, like I had this dream growing up of I'm going to be like, I'm not one to say a woman shouldn't work or anything like that, but I would like to make enough money to where if I wanted to have a wife and kids, she wouldn't have to work. She could if she wanted to, obviously. I'm not going to say you can't, but the point is I want to be able to afford to provide for my whole family. And the fact that I don't, it's sort of, I'm not saying that's the reason I don't have kids and I'm single, but I mean, it does sort of factor into the equation. It is on my mind. Like I don't make enough money to support a family, and that sucks. And there's a lot of people in that exact same boat. So again, this guy is probably lefty. I probably disagree with him on a whole bunch of things, but he makes some extremely valid arguments here. People don't get paid enough money. The rich are getting richer and the poor are getting poorer. And the middle class is just evaporating. So what do? How do we fix it? I don't think a billionaire tax is the solution, but I don't have any genius ideas either. So I don't know. It's a problem. The middle class is getting squeezed. And again, the rich is getting richer and the poor are getting poorer. And I don't know how to solve that. I don't know how to fix it. So that's that aspect of this conversation. But then there's the fact that this is like now turning into like a copycat type situation. So just like the next day or maybe 2 days later in Ontario Mills, California, Ontario Mills. Is that a different place from Ontario, California? I thought this was Ontario Mills Mall in Ontario, California. They put Ontario Mills, California, which I think it's just Ontario, California. Anyway, somebody lit True Religion on fire. So this happened. So that's just one. And then over in Bakersfield, another warehouse was lit on fire. So this is out in Bakersfield, not that far from Ontario, probably a hour and a half, 2 hour drive. No, yeah, 2 hours. So pretty anticlimactic video, but you guys get the point. Another warehouse fire in Bakersfield. And then this is out in Florida. So this happened in Miami-Dade County in Florida, I think today.
A warehouse fire happening right now. You can see those large black plumes of smoke billowing out of what we're learning is a warehouse. This is at Global Warehouse Solutions. It is located in the area of Northwest 47th Avenue and 207th Drive. This is in the Miami Gardens area, and we are receiving word that it is not far from the turnpike, but you can see this appears to be just visually a very serious situation right now and potentially a very expansive fire. We can see those red flames in the background being covered by huge black billows of smoke. Information is very limited at this time, but Chopper 4 is giving you just an aerial perspective.
Yeah, so what the heck is happening with all these warehouse fires? Case Martin, fix it by voting for people who can successfully run a business, I think is what you meant to say, people who understand economics. I get the sentiment with that, but, and I don't mean to sound black-pilled here, but I am. I don't think there's any way. I don't think we're voting our way out of this, folks. Any of it. I'm not even just talking about the wealth disparity part of it. I'm just talking about the rot through the entire political establishment, e.g. Eric Swalwell. Like, I don't think there's a voting our way out of this type thing. I hope I'm wrong, but I don't think I am. So yeah, there was like 3 other warehouse fires that, you know, it's just insane. I don't know what the hell's going on. It's pretty wild. So yeah, you guys tell me, what are your thoughts? Is this, are we just noticing these warehouse fires? It seems that this is like becoming a trend, and I don't know what the hell is going on with it.